If you're thinking about moving to San Diego and you're not sure where to land, well, let me show you Vista, California, and why that might be the right fit for you. We're gonna dive into location, the housing, the amenities, the vibe, what to expect. We're gonna dive into the map view and show you everything you need to know about living right here in Vista, California. We'll show you some drone footage so you get a good feel of what we are talking about out there. As always, I'm Chris Erickson, and we have a real estate crew right here in San Diego. And if you are thinking about moving out this way and you're ready to start that conversation, we'd love for you guys to reach out. We've helped a lot of folks relocate out here to San Diego, and we'd love to help you as well and earn your business. So first step is call, text, or email, because we got your back when making the move here to San Diego. And be sure to stay to the end. We're gonna compare Vista to a few of the other surrounding cities, give you some insight into what it might be like compared to those other North County cities. So let's get into it right now. All right, so hopping into Vista, it's a city up here in North County, San Diego. It's actually the 7th largest city right here in San Diego. You have the city of San Diego being number 1, you have Chula Vista being number 2, and then you have a few others in between, and then you come Vista. So it's a nice mid-sized city right here in the San Diego County region. As far as population, you're sitting about 98,000 for the population right here in Vista. Now, if you all have been to San Diego, which I'm assuming you have if you're potentially thinking about moving out here, Vista is in North County, and just give you some directions. So we're just gonna go straight to the airport because that's a good indicator of how far to get to downtown, give you some insight into that. You're looking about 59 minutes to downtown San Diego. Now I'm looking at it right now. We are on Friday about 3 o'clock. So going down there, yeah, we're starting to get into a little bit of traffic time. If we depart at, let's just say a normal hour, let's just say you're going to head down there at 8 a.m. And once again, you're looking about 40 minutes to just over an hour, depending on traffic. Depending on where you are in Vista, you could either shoot down to the west towards the coast, or you could follow the 78 to the east and go down the 15. Getting to the beach, you're not too far from that either. Usually people are like, okay, which beach is the best beach? And it usually comes down to which beach is the closest beach. So let's just head to Tamarack. We're gonna go from Vista to Tamarack, give you a little bit of insight into that. You're looking less than 20 minutes. Now there's certain other areas of Vista. As you get out here, we're gonna cover those neighborhoods. Once you get out here, yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer. If we're going out to this way, you're looking about 23 minutes, but everywhere in Vista is usually within about 25 minutes to the beach. Now getting around to Vista, like we said, going to the freeway, you're gonna likely take the 78 freeway and get into the coast. 78 freeway is gonna be the main east to west freeway here in North County, San Diego. And then as you go north and south, over here you have the 5 freeway, which goes right up the coast. And then a little bit further inland, you have the 15 freeway, and this will lead you out to Temecula, and it goes all the way to Vegas. It goes, I think, into Utah. It goes pretty far. So does the 5. That goes all the way up to the Canadian border. Now, Vista is separated into a few different parts. It's a little bit different than a few other neighborhoods, a few other cities, but just for a little visual, it's got 3 different zip codes. It's got 92083, which is going to be this little sliver here. And you'll see as we go through the zip codes, it's going to highlight a few other areas around where we just were, because what we just had highlighted was the city of Vista. So what you'll find is some other areas of Vista are unincorporated Vista, which is the county of San Diego. So 92083 is just north of the 78 freeway here. As you get into 92084, that's going to be this northeastern section of Vista. You get a lot of the rural sections of Vista going into here. And then 92081, this is going to be the southern section of Vista, just south of the 78 freeway. Now we're gonna hop into a few neighborhoods and a few of the neighborhood vibes. So these are some of the more popular areas people are choosing to live, but Vista is a little bit different where they don't really have like these big master plan communities, except for to the southern portion, which I'll show you here in a sec. One of the big areas that is likely the only kind of master plan community in Vista. You'll find a lot of other communities. There's other master plan communities, but it's definitely going to be the biggest. But Check out this is the city of Vista, and how many different little neighborhoods. Every different little color in here is a different little neighborhood. You can see there's no big, huge areas taken over, but on this map right here, there's 125 different areas in Vista. Now we're gonna cover 3 of the main ones to give you a little insight of, neighborhoods right here in Vista. So starting it off, we're gonna go to the northeastern part of Vista, and this is going to be the foothills section of Vista. You can see Foothills Drive popping up right here, and it's not really gonna be called, it's not like this is the Foothills neighborhood. It's specifically this street to this street. It's just kind of this general area. One reason being it's all against the foothills over here. So as you get a little bit further east into Vista, you can see all of these hills lining kind of the outside of Vista. This is the area where you are getting a little bit more spread out. You're gonna get a little bit more rural feeling, semi-rural feeling. It's not like some other areas where it's like equestrian and you have a ton of, like if you're thinking rural in different parts of the country, this is kind of rural parts of San Diego. So you can see here as we're getting into here, just a little more space out here. You do still have some growing grounds here and there, but you're not going to find like a grid section of streets. You're not going to find a ton of walkability out here. As far as housing, this is like the general style that you're going to find in a lot of this section of Vista. As we go to the ground level, a lot of this single story kind of ranch style homes where, it's kind of smaller footprints, and it's going to vary from neighborhood to neighborhood, but you'll see a lot of this out here in Vista. Bigger front yards, bigger lots in general, compared to definitely a lot of other cities and a lot of other neighborhoods right here in San Diego. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you some things to watch out for, especially in some of these rural areas here in Vista. So stay tuned for that. But one of the biggest things I do like about Vista, especially this section, while you don't have any main roads, you don't have any kind of main thoroughfares, you have a lot of these side roads. So most of these areas, you're just going to find a bunch of stop signs back here. You're not going to find a ton of street lights. You're going to find a lot more space as you're driving around out here. Now you're going to find some little infill communities. You're going to find some little, not master plan communities, but kind of like smaller developments as you get back here. But it's not like you're moving here for that. A lot of people moving out here kind of want a little more spread out and a little more of that rural feel. One other section we'll jump into here. It's right outside the borders of the city of Vista, but you can see right here where it says Buena Creek Road. This is an awesome section as well. Now out here you're going to find kind of that similar style where the foothills is a little bit more of the smaller footprint, but once you get to Buena Creek, you're going to find a little bit bigger lots. You're going to see, look at these lots over here, where they have tennis courts, they have pools, they have bigger square footage homes over here. Once again, out here too, you're going to find a lot of custom. So you'll see a bunch of different styles out here. And as you get out here, pro and con, a lot more quiet because there's definitely no main roads out here. Buena Creek is a somewhat main road thoroughfare, but once you get off to all these little offshoots, there's not a ton of kind of these main roads out here. So you do have that privacy plus the added bonus of just more space. You have areas for your pools. You have big old driveways. So it's a very cool area out in this little section of Vista. And now one area as we are zooming out, we're going to stay in the north part of Vista before we hop to one of the most popular neighborhoods in Vista that a lot of folks who have reached out, this is where they do look, and we've helped a lot of folks move out that way. But it's a newer master plan community, and it's kind of tucked away here in the northern section of Vista. You'll find it right next to the Vista Sports Park. If you guys have kids and you're doing soccer, baseball, softball, all that kind of stuff, you'll likely find yourself at the Vista Sports Park here at some point. But right next to it, you're going to find a few of these newer master plan developments. This is half of it's gated. So one of the sides of this community is gated, but this community is called Laurel Point, and it's kind of unique in the whole scheme of Vista. Like I said, you're not going to find a ton, but there are going to be some little areas where you find these newer homes, like these newer infill communities that are somewhat new, if you want that newer feel, but at a more affordable price than a lot of other areas. This could be a section as well. Now, as we zoom out, we're going to go to the biggest area in Vista that a lot of folks are checking out, and it's to the southern section of Vista. See the Shadow Ridge Golf Course popping up right here. And this whole area down here is called Shadow Ridge. And this whole area of Vista, Shadow Ridge, is just a big suburban development all around this this country club right here. So this is not a public course. If you guys did want to play and you like golf and you want to be around there, you will still have to join a membership for this golf course. Similar styles homes, different sizes. It's obviously a master plan community. You're looking like 80s and 90s. There's some smaller footprint homes, like 1,300 square foot. In some of these neighborhoods, you'll find some much larger homes going up on the hill there. So you'll find some golf course views depending on where you are. You will find some other views like these houses up here. You're going to find, look at these big old lots up here. So a good mix of different styles of homes in here. This is all within an HOA as well. So usually you're going to have the Shadow Ridge HOA plus a smaller HOA, and a lot of these smaller little complexes in these smaller little developments within Shadow Ridge. Once again, they're all Shadow Ridge, but they're all kind of their own villages. But you'll find smaller amenities, little pocket parks here. Someone has a pool, a spa, those kind of things, little clubhouse here. So depending on which area of Vista you live in, that's what you will find a lot in this area of Shadow Ridge. Now let's hop into the weather and climate real quick, just so you know where Vista is. I believe a few years ago, it got voted one of the best climates in like the US. It was many years ago. I couldn't find the article, but I know I've seen something like that before. So here's Shadow Ridge, where we just were, just to give you a little context. Foothills is right up in this section. Here was Laurel Point up here. You have Buena Creek out here. But as far as weather goes, you're not too far from the coast. Like we said, 25 minutes tops. Once you start getting into the outer areas out here, yeah, it's going to start getting a little warmer in the summer times. As you get closer to the western flank of Vista, you're going to get a little cooler. You have a lot of the ocean breezes coming off here. So obviously, the further inland you are, the warmer it tends to get in the summertime. But compare it to like Carlsbad or Oceanside, you're not going to get as much of that marine layer that comes in off the coast, where, you know, this whole section could be like socked in with some clouds and stuff as you get into these coastal regions of San Diego, especially in this little area here. But a lot of times it's not going to get into the Vista section over here because you're far enough inland where you don't get that, but you're not too far inland where it's going to get, you know, blazing hot, let's say, as you get out to some other areas of San Diego. Like once you get out to this 15 corridor, that's when you start getting super warm. Escondido, the western parts of San Marcos, that kind of thing. And as for temperatures here in Vista, you're going to usually have warmer days, and then it cools off quite a bit here in the night. So a lot of San Diego, yeah, you're moving here, you're like, it's sunny, it's beautiful, it's warm, it's always nice and hot, but that's not quite the case. You can see some of the nights do get pretty chilly, even in the summer times, June, July, August, September, where it gets like 62. You're like, oh, that's not cold. But as you get here, you're going to want to layer up, bring a sweatshirt to the kids' baseball games, to the soccer games, especially if they're like late afternoon going to the evening, because I'm telling you, it's going to get cold. Even if you're coming from a cold place, you'll likely be cold at some point here in the cooler evenings here in San Diego. Now, lifestyle and amenities here in Vista. One of the main attractions in Vista that's seen a lot of growth over these past few years is this central portion of Vista. This is downtown Vista, where you see Belch and Beaver, you see Vista Village Pub, Yellow Deli. That is all the Main Street section of Vista, and they're seeing a bunch of revitalization over these past few years, all up and down this road right here, South Santa Fe. You're seeing a bunch of new developments going up. A lot of them are apartments and such, but right within there too, you know, either at the bottom of the apartments or just in that same little corridor, you're going to find, like, we went and we filmed Vista and we stopped at one of the local breweries, Bergen. They have a little tasting room over there. So that whole area is being built out. like I said, not too much as far as if you're buying homes, but as far as apartments and that kind of thing, you'll find some newer ones over there. So another little stretch of, restaurants and whatnot. You got some Clay and Latte. You have the Sinopolis. You have the little pizza spot, Backstreet. They have a brewery there, Pokey Pokey. So this isn't a huge area, but as you get into Main Street on the other side, there's a bunch more spots over here. As you're going, this is literally the main street, but Vista Village Pub, longtime classic. There's a newer spot, Burger Bench. I think it took over when Pigs Fly, is right in here. Awesome spot. We went there for lunch one day. My son swore by it. It's his favorite burger ever. You have the Playhouse over there. Like I said, there's a few other spots over there. So a lot to explore in that downtown Vista. And then also down here, you're going to find some of the, bigger box stores where you find your Lowe's. You're going to find Fraser Farms over here. Right here in the center is a longtime staple, the Wave Water Park. So you'll see sometimes like summer camps and whatnot in here. It's just a small, tiny, you got a little lazy river. You have a few pools. You have a few slides. It's not like a huge water park, but interesting little amenity to have in the center of Vista, all north just of the 78 freeway. And so here's that Main Street downtown area right to the north up here. You have Insane Brewing Company. They actually have comedy shows there every now and again. So kind of cool. Downtown, Main Street. You have Backstreet. That was that pizza place. Bare Roots down a little bit farther south, Santa Fe, Guadalupe. There's the Bergen. And then down to the south here, Cassidy branded it as the Sycamore Corridor. Here is Sycamore Avenue. Let's see if any more pop up when we do that. But you're going to find a lot of the local breweries right in here as well. One of our favorites, Pure Project. Awesome go-to spot. They got some murky IPAs, which is like their style of hazy. Really good spot. Belching Beaver. They have the tasting room downtown as well, but this is like their brew. This is at their actual brewery, but they have a pub in there. They have some good food in there. So Booze Brothers, Battle Mage. There's a bunch of other ones hidden within here too. So there's a ton of local craft breweries right here in Vista. And within Vista too, you're going to find some local community events. So every year, Vista was like the strawberry capital of San Diego. So a long time ago, with all those growing grounds, like in the rural foothills, all out there. And there's still some growing grounds as well. But you're going to find the Vista Strawberry Festival. They're going to have carnival. They're going to have some vendors. They're going to have like a 5K. And you'll find that every single year. You're going to find Moonlight Amphitheater, which is this beautiful outdoor amphitheater, outdoor seating where it's right in Bringle Terrace Park. But you're going to find some shows throughout there through the year, musicals, concerts, plays, all that kind of stuff. During the wintertime, December, you're going to find the Christmas parade. My brother and sister-in-law live in Vista, so they're always going down there. Lights, parade, vendors, etc. The Vista Art Walk with pop-ups, music, food trucks downtown, and then every Saturday is the Vista Farmers Market as well. So a lot of local events going on throughout Vista as well. Now hopping into schools within Vista. They're all going to feed to Vista Unified School District. That's going to be all the way kindergarten, all the way through 12th grade. I'll bring up their website here in a sec, show you a few things on there. But Vista Unified School District is about 19,000 students in 28 schools. Some highlight programs include dual language immersion. You have STEAM magnet schools. You have visual and performing art pathways. You have career tech, including health, engineering, and digital arts. And if you really want to dive in and figure out if, what school you would go to if you live in different areas, you can dive into their website here. And in Vista, like most other places, you're zoned, wherever you're zoned is usually where you're going to school. But what this means, schools of choice, what this means is that families are zoned for a residential school based on their address. These schools offer high quality learning experiences and unique opportunities for students. Now, while the majority of students in Vista Unified School District attend their residential schools, we have a long-standing procedure in place that allows for students to transfer from one school to another. So that is doable as well. There's also charter schools within Vista that are part of the school district as well. So dive into this and see what school you'd be going to, and if you want to, and you can see what programs they have and kind of all the information you need to know about these school districts. And to give you a little insight into home pricing here in Vista, it's somewhat more affordable than definitely Oceanside's, than Carlsbad's, than Encinitas's, in certain parts of San Marcos, compared to definitely those coastal cities right here in San Diego. Median price, that's for all homes. If we just go into single family homes, median sales price was $853,000. As we jump into townhomes, median sales price is about $700,000. So you can see a little bit difference, a little bit more affordable in those townhomes. There's not a ton of townhomes in Vista. You're going to find little pockets here and there. Foothills is mostly single family homes. Bowling Creek, single family. You're going to find some in that Shadow Ridge, but it's going to be very specific on what areas you're looking. And definitely, I mean, we've helped clients find, some townhomes and condos and that kind of thing in Vista. But all in all, you're going to find more single family homes in Vista. Now, hopping into future Vista developments, all that kind of thing. Now, as I mentioned, Foothills, there's still some of these growing grounds, but some of these will likely be turned into, kind of infill communities where you're going to have, 10 to 30 houses, those kind of things. There's probably no more giant master plan communities going to be coming to Vista. This central area here where we've had downtown Vista and South Santa Fe, this has seen the most revitalization over the past few years, where like this big complex right here, this big apartment complex never used to be there. It just used to be like a field. So that's new. As you go down this South Santa Fe, you're going to find some new restaurants, Best Pizza and Beer. You're going to find all this area is newly updated. So here's some of those apartments. This is an updated Pepper Tree right here. Long time favorite. Oh, there it is right there. Long time staple. So that's been here forever. But this is a little bit older view of it when they were building it all out. Now this is all looking like as we were over here. Now it all looks like this as you're going up and down this corridor. So you can see it going down there. And like I said, not a ton of new housing in here as far as purchasing homes, but a lot of these are newer condos. And I think this development is going to continue going down here just because like Vista all in all used to be like old school. Like there's an old lumber yard here that it doesn't look like it's there anymore. You have new condos over here. You have all these like smaller little single story places that have been here forever. But I think as it grows and as it builds out, you'll see more of that. Now, other areas of Vista where you're going to see a little bit of development. There's some on this northern section, which is like actually right on the edge. This is actually Oceanside here, but there's a newer development over this way. And all this is like those newer townhome style, which is a lot of new development that you see here. But see how it's not like a huge development. You're going to have a few hundred homes in here. That's like anything new that's going to be popping up. That's likely what's going to be going into these little sections. And they're going to be filling in like these little outskirt areas. But a lot of Vista is already built out, like more single family homes on this eastern section. So there's not a ton of room for growth, but you are going to see a little bit continuing from that central area of Vista, kind of going out from there. All right, now let's compare it to a few other sections. So if you're thinking Vista, you might be thinking a few different areas. So Oceanside, especially these eastern portions of Oceanside where you have Ivy Ranch, Rancho del Oro, you have some other neighborhoods up here. There's some new developments up that way. It's going to be comparative, but usually Oceanside is going to be a little bit more expensive. Obviously, as you go closer to the coast, the more expensive it gets as well. Same with Carlsbad. Carlsbad is actually going to be more expensive than Oceanside. Oceanside is going to be more expensive than Vista. Once you get over here, Vista compared to San Marcos, this is a good comparison because you have the north-south, you have where you have the 78 freeway cut in half, you have a few zip codes over here, you have similar style homes over in certain areas of San Marcos. So it's a good comp as far as Vista goes. So if you're thinking Vista, maybe expand it to San Marcos and see what's over there. Once you get to this eastern portion of San Marcos, that's where it starts getting a little warmer, like I mentioned, but it's really not going to be too terribly different than Vista as far as climate goes. And there's going to be more sections. Once you go to the south section of of San Marcos, you're going to find some more master plan communities, a lot more development going on over here as well around this Cal State San Marcos. You have Lake San Marcos over here, which is an older neighborhood. You have San Leo Hills, which is a newer neighborhood. That's going to be kind of comparable to Carlsbad, so more expensive over there. But Vista, certain areas of Vista and certain areas of San Marcos can definitely be doable if you're looking in these sections. And so if you guys are thinking about making the move and you want to compare a few different areas, then you got to reach out, call, text, or email. We're the guys who answers the calls, texts, and emails, and we got your back when making the move here to San Diego. Now, what about some things you need to be aware of right here in Vista that might be different from where you're coming from? Or maybe not different, but just something to be aware of if you are moving out here. First off, the 78, since it is the main thoroughfare, that's like the main way to get around. If you're living a little bit further to the north or a little bit further to the south, it's going to take a little bit longer to get to that main corridor. So just think about commutes and where you're going to be going. Like I mentioned, there's a bunch of side roads throughout Vista. The 78 through that section, it doesn't get a ton of traffic. Usually when you get further into San Marcos is when you start getting some of that rush hour traffic. You will find a little bit here and there, but for the most part, you're going to be good on that section going through Vista, but just getting to that corridor is going to take a little bit more time for sure. Another thing to be aware of is some areas, especially as you get into some of those rural sections, you're going to be on septic, meaning you're not hooked up to city sewer. Now, it's not too uncommon out here. A lot of areas, especially on the outskirts of these cities, of a lot of cities here in San Diego, you will find that they are on septic. So it's just as you're going through the process, as you're going through escrow, the seller will get a septic certification, make sure everything's good, but you'll just want to be aware of that in certain situations. Something else is some of these areas, especially in that central area of Vista there, like Santa Fe, is kind of like mixed zoning in certain areas. So you're going to find like some light industrial, you're going to find some commercial zones. Now, there are certain areas that are strictly commercial and this and that, but you will find other sections where the homes might be like button up against that. So something to keep in mind as well. Once you get to the southern portion, another thing you got to think about, okay, a lot of that area, Shadow Ridge, etc. You got sidewalks. It's good. It's just like that master plan community. Once you go outside of that, you're going into the northern sections of Vistas and Foothills and this and that. A lot of those areas don't have sidewalks, so they're not super walkable. You're a little further out there as well. A lot of those side streets cruising through, so no real area. I mean, you can go out there and walk in. There's might be a little dirt path or something like that, but you're not really going to find a ton of sidewalks or a ton of real walkability out there. And also on the outskirts, one thing is fire hazards, fire risk. Once you get into certain areas, you're going to want to be aware of that. And we're seeing not necessarily can't be done, but a little bit more expensive as far as insurance costs go, and getting that squared away right away is super important. So once we do help people get into homes, we're like, okay, get your insurance broker on the phone, see what it's going to cost. Make sure we can get that, or even doing that ahead of time before writing the offer is advisable as we are going into a little bit tougher times to get home insurance right here in San Diego. But if you are thinking about moving to San Diego and Vista is on the radar, you want to dive in a little bit more, we could do a personalized map tour like we just did, dive into specific areas, what areas might work for you, dive into your price point, and point out a few spots that could be working for you. You got to reach out, call, text, or email, because we got your back when making the move here to San Diego.